final treaties of the Paris Peace Conference, the major decisions were the establishment of the League of Nations, the 5 peace treaties with defeated enemies, the awarding of German and Ottoman overseas possessions as mandates, chiefly to members of the British Empire and to France, reparations imposed on Germany, and the drawing of new national boundaries to better reflect the forces of nationalism. The main result was the Treaty of Versailles with Germany, which in section 231 laid the guilt for the war on the aggression of Germany and her allies. This provision proved humiliating for Germans and set the stage for very high reparations, though Germany paid only a small portion before reparations ended in 1931. As the conference's decisions were enacted unilaterally and largely on the whims of the Big Four, for the duration of the conference Paris was effectively the center of a world government that deliberated over and implemented sweeping changes to the political geography of Europe. Most famously, the Treaty of Versailles itself weakened Germany's military and placed full blame for the war and costly reparations on Germany's shoulders. The humiliation and resentment this caused is sometimes considered responsible for Nazi electoral successes and indirectly, World War II. The League of Nations proved controversial in the United States as critics said it subverted the powers of Congress to declare war. The U.S. Senate did not ratify any of the peace treaties, and the U.S. never joined the League. Instead, the Harding administration of 1921 to 1923 concluded new treaties with Germany, Austria, and Hungary. Germany was not invited to attend the conference at Versailles. Representatives of White Russia were present. Numerous other nations sent delegations to appeal for various unsuccessful additions to the treaties. Parties lobbied for causes ranging from independence for the countries of the South Caucasus to Japan's demand for racial equality among the other great powers. Austria-Hungary was partitioned into several successor states, including Austria, Hungary, Czechoslovakia, and Yugoslavia, largely but not entirely along ethnic lines. Transylvania was shifted from Hungary to Greater Romania. The details were contained in the Treaty of Saint-Germain and the Treaty of Trianon. As a result of the Treaty of Trianon, 3.3 million Hungarians came under foreign rule. Although the Hungarians made up 54% of the population of the pre-war Kingdom of Hungary, only 32% of its territory was left to Hungary. Between 1920 and 1924, 354,000 Hungarians fled former Hungarian territories attached to Romania, Czechoslovakia, and Yugoslavia. The Russian Empire, which had withdrawn from the war in 1917 after the October Revolution, lost much of its western frontier as the newly independent nations of Estonia, Finland, Latvia, Lithuania, and Poland were carved from it. Romania took control of Bessarabia in April 1918. Treaty of Versailles. The Treaty of Versailles was the most important of the peace treaties that brought World War I to an end. It was signed on June 28, 1919, exactly 5 years after the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand. The other Central Powers on the German side of World War I signed separate treaties. Although the armistice signed on November 11, 1918, ended the actual fighting, it took 6 months of Allied negotiations at the Paris Peace Conference to conclude the peace treaty.